All right, we are live. We are here with Josiah Entreprenagle, and we were just on his channel talking about kind of how to actually invest your money. Like, is the S&P 500 just a bad idea if you have a profitable business? Um, Goodness, I always think about that. Literally today, I was thinking about that, and it was just like, there's some extra money. Do I just throw it all in profitable inventory, or do I just like take some and kind of checkpoint myself because Amazon is a little bit more of a risk? So what I ended up choosing is I put like a third of it into our S&P 500 and then gonna do the rest inventory. But to the actual topic of this, today we're going to talk about why people fail on Amazon. And I think it's actually pretty related to what we were talking about before on Josiah's channel. We were talking about how there is the temptation to just use a ton of credit and put a ton of money into the business and kind of get that multiplier of, if I have this much invested in profitable inventory at this ROI, I'm going to make this much profit per month. And I think the honest truth is like most people don't have 10,000 plus to put in Amazon, and they probably shouldn't because they haven't been in the game and are going to make bad mistakes with that. Josiah, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, based off of what you just said there, I'm curious what you think. You've been chatting with a lot of people through YouTube and social media. I would assume a lot of newer sellers or people looking to sell. Is there like a stereotype for those kind of people? Are you seeing a lot of, say, high school or college graduates that are looking for their first kind of income source? Are you seeing a lot of 9 to 5 people that are looking to supplement their income or to create something they can quit their job with? Or I don't know. You seen any trends? I'm not sure I have really.
Um, Sort of. I mean, there's a certain type of person when they send a question over the messages, you're kind of just like you're asking like how to find products, and it's just like, or like how to get ungated, or like, but it's just like a vagueness and like have you actually like put more than like 10 hours into this business yet type of feel. You know what I mean? Like sometimes people will ask questions and you're like, either this is like too advanced of a question, is like they're asking about prep centers when they do like 500 in sales per month, or they're like, I don't know, like their expectation is they're going to make like 4K and they have like 3K invested.
Yeah. So like hey Seth, what category should I be selling in?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that.
Someone asked me that today, and I was just like, well, they're all profitable. You should just try something that you're interested in and actually like stick with it.
Yeah, and
Oh,
that's like the legit answer because I've been asked that same question too.
yeah.
And there's money in every category, and if you're stuck over analyzing which category, then you're approaching the problem wrong. But so I
I
forget what
want
you asked because I answered your question by asking you a question.
Yeah, well, what you were saying was kind of making me think of how to answer your question, which was um, there's a theme of like people who end up quitting on Amazon. They all feel like they need to have the perfect business model, the perfect solution. Everything needs to be perfect. They need to be
Mm,
able to be completely remote from day one. They need to have the right category, not a good category, not a profitable category, the right, the best category. And they're just like not okay or discouraged when things aren't the best. Like I totally get that. Like I feel that way too. Like I'm like, shoot, well, I'm selling these products and I'm making this much profit. I need to find the right category. But in reality, it's like you need to just like get out there, spend on profitable stuff, and like you'll get better as things continue. Like you're gonna you're going to walk before you can run, or walk before you're even jogging. Like, you just, the theme of like having to have everything the best possible is what makes people quit, in my opinion.
So the over analysis paralysis, is that how it goes?
Yeah, and I think people do that because they're like, I need to find the best thing, like the perfect thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I
that's a huge burden to put on yourself.
really is. And related to that, and going back to the question that I asked, I remember why I asked you that question. I think I've seen a decent number of people in some sort of 9 to 5 job, and they have an end to that job coming at some point, or they want an end to that job to come. They see the success of different sellers on social media or YouTube, and they want that success like now, or like this quarter. In like 2 months, they want to be able to quit their job and be like making twice their salary. And in general, that's just not the reality of it. I'm sure that does happen to a few people here and there. Maybe they get the perfect private label, and just from like day one, they're smashing those orange bars. But that's not the norm. It takes a long time to get to those success numbers that you see. I think probably for most people, most resellers in the kind of arbitrage category, probably about a year is a good benchmark of how long it could reasonably take you to build something up that's a sustainable and steady and pretty decent income. Do you think that's a fair number?
Yeah, probably. Potentially on eBay, you could do like 2,000 or 3,000 profit in like several months, maybe like 6 months. But like, eBay is simpler than Amazon, and so I guess it probably takes around a year if you're doing Amazon. Yeah, especially from zero experience reselling. Like, there's just a lot of things to learn. That's another theme that I feel like I see with people. Like, there's a big difference from the people who are like, okay, like I need to just like find a way to like make enough money to live, versus the people who are like, I need to make twice my income from this 9 to 5 job that I have. Oh, and I make 90K a year. So I need to make 180K from reselling in order to like quit my job. That's an extreme example, but there's lots of people who like, they feel like they need to make like 5K a month or 6K a month in order to justify like doing reselling. And a lot of people can live on less than that. I think the bar's too high, I think.
Yeah, I see what you're saying there. I'd have to go back and look at the numbers, but coming from my salaried position and then coming into the full time on Amazon, we did sacrifice our lifestyle a little bit there for a while. Kind of in that in between where I started working on this business full time, but it took a while until we could start paying ourselves equal or more than we were making before. So there was a sacrificial period there, but honestly for us, and I'll share this kind of related, we set this like, okay, we're willing to live at this lower cost of living, lower quality lifestyle for like, I think it was 6 months. And if at the end of 6 months, this thing isn't working and we're not close to this dollar amount that we want, maybe we need to move on and try some other stuff. So I think having a deadline like that where we were willing to sacrifice, but only for a certain amount of time, honestly, I think motivated me to figure it out and get it rolling. But yeah, you're not gonna get that instant passive income success.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, like, some people pick it up easier than others. Like, if you're starting from a complete ground zero, it's just going to be harder than someone who actually has a reselling background, you know?
Absolutely.
And just a note about this conversation, it probably sounds like we're just bashing people and their like expectations of this business, but like really we're just trying to like set some realistic expectations, because it just sucks to have an expectation that's just probably not going to happen, and then you're just super disappointed, and then you're burnt out and you feel bad about yourself. Whereas if you came into it with like, okay, like I'm going to make some profit in the first several months, but probably not a lot, and eventually I can build this into something that is going to be sustainable and profitable in the long run, but it could take a long time. That's the type of person that's going to be able to stick with this and not feel so bad about themselves to move on to something else. Because that discouragement is a big deal for people, or at least it is for me. Like if the expectations are way too high, like how are you going to deal with all the downsides of this?
Agreed. Yeah, you gotta be realistic in that. I think when you asked me this question, you're like, this is what we're going to talk about. The first thing that came to mind was newer sellers not having the knowledge base, and because of that lack of knowledge, making mistakes, and then those mistakes costing them financially in the business, and that just discouraging them, or I think causing them to look for excuses like, Amazon is saturated. Amazon fees are way too high. There's no money left. Everybody's going to get suspended. Those kind of, I would say, excuses, because stemming from a lack of knowledge that caused mistakes to be made. And like we talked about it, maybe it was on my channel a few minutes ago, or maybe it was on this stream. I don't remember, how we both, for a period of time, didn't have a good understanding of sales ranks. So we made some poor purchase decisions. And if I went down to where I have my merchant fulfilled inventory stored, I probably still have some stuff that I bought like 2 years ago that like it was ranked number 5 in purple optical cables. And I was like, yeah, we're getting millions. But no, literally no one in the world buys those, because I've had it listed for 2 years and nobody wants it. Maybe I should throw it away.
Yeah, there's a lot of mistakes that you can make because of a lack of knowledge. That's for sure. Like there's just a lot. And also coupled with like, if you're using too much money in the very start, like if you throw 5K into an item like that, like that's a big problem here. Massive problem.
Massive. So to give a solution to fixing that lack of knowledge, for me, I didn't take any courses or anything like that. I just watched copious amounts of YouTube and learned a ton through that. And now at this point, I learn a ton through networking and chatting with guys like Seth. Have you taken any courses, Seth? That seems to be a common way to maybe kind of skip some of that knowledge gathering timeline part.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge proponent of courses. I took Romer's book selling course. I took Nathan Jackson's replenishable course. I took, what else did I take? I feel like I took other stuff. I took stuff in like, what was it? I took like a fear course a couple years ago, like to help deal with fear. There's just a lot of things that like, if you have something that you're really trying to learn, you can not necessarily just like get the solution overnight, but you can maybe 3x your learning in it from someone who actually like has a good solution for that problem. Like you're going to learn a lot from courses. And like, I heard someone say the other day, you can justify taking a course. Like, are you going to make that money back in like 12 months because of the knowledge that you got from that? Like you can just bash your head against the wall for 6 months and learn something, or you can take a course, put down $300 and like learn the same thing in 3 months and then make 3 months of profit to pay all that off. I would say that's a great investment. Yeah, 100%. What are your thoughts on that?
I haven't taken many courses. I think I remember starting out, I was a bit of a penny pincher, and I couldn't see the value in it, right? Like some of the more reputable courses are a little more expensive, and at this point, I see the value in them, and I think that they are worth it. But at the time, I didn't really see that or understand that, so I just like wanted to figure it out on my own, I guess, because I'm a stubborn. I don't know.
I mean, it makes sense. They are expensive.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, but the way you just described it made me kind of have this realization right now that you're in a way delegating a task out to someone. You're like,
Yeah.
hey, Romer, go figure out how to sell books on Amazon and then come back and give me the Spark Notes. And how long has Avery Romer been selling books on Amazon?
Yeah, like 4+ years. 4 or
Yeah,
5
yeah,
years.
a number of years, and he's pretty good at it. He's got, the sales and the credentials to back up what he's saying, and so he's then condensing years of knowledge and experience into a little package for you. Like, this is the important stuff you should know. And so, yeah, it's kind of like delegating that knowledge gathering process. It's
Yeah.
kind of a cool realization I just discovered.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because the return on investment for that course, for example, I purchased it during Black Friday, so I think it was like $400. Before that point, I was doing like the 100-book challenge. I was sending books in. I was getting some results. I was maybe making 1,000 a month with books. And after I took the course, I was doing consistently 2 to 4K in profit per month with books. And I did that for 6+ months. So had to put a lot of work in and like understand how to do it. But like $400 to have a 2 to 4K profit per month for 6 months is a great investment. Like that's an amazing investment. So so potentially like I would have kept making $1,000 to $1,500 per month instead of 2 to 4K a month for 6 months if I had just been stubborn and been like, I need to like figure this out on my own. Like, or it would have taken another 3 to 4 months to get to the point where I eventually got to. It's almost impossible to say like where things would have been if I hadn't taken that education.
Yeah, yeah. You probably would have figured it out. The question is, how long would it have taken? Yeah, yeah.
Right.
So your affiliate link for the book business blueprints in the comments.
No,
right?
so like we're talking about all this. I have no links for any of these. Yeah. It's just like, how can I help you guys? And like, how can we, Josiah and I, learn ourselves, you know? Like, no links for these courses. Nope.
Yeah.
There's a guy named Alex Hermosi that some of you guys might have heard of. Big business guy. He runs a company where he helps other businesses do more revenue, and so he has a minority share in them, and so he helps them do better, and he gets a split basically. But he makes content, and he says, instead of investing in the S&P 500, invest in the S&Me 500. Education, growing myself.
The S and me. Oh man,
your reaction to that was the best.
dude. Because if I said that, that would sound ridiculous. Like, that's stupid, Josiah. But because he has, like, he's really successful, it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
do you agree with it, or do you?
I do agree. I just think that's
like if you were the one putting that out there, everyone would be like, "You're an idiot." You're stupid.
Well, yeah, I think just like S and me sounds stupid.
Yeah,
but
fair.
when he says it, it sounds smart.
Like when a jacked successful guy is just like, "Yeah, S&Me 500."
Yeah,
yeah.
But yes, I agree with the mentality of what you just said. That makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, because I mean, like every skill you can kind of package it up and have it for you, kind of like the book selling course. Like you can learn marketing, you can learn social media, you can learn how to post a good reel, you can learn how to do online arbitrage, and at least speed up your process to a point where you're making money with it with courses. Like there's so many people who sell courses, and some of them are better than others for sure. So you do have to be a bit selective, but you can learn skills just by like paying someone. So it's pretty incredible. We got Joji in the chat. You still can't go wrong with the S&P 500. Yeah, I mean, the compounding effect is amazing. You can make great money, especially when you leave it in there for a long time and just don't touch it and don't panic sell. Alex Hermosi's point in regards to that is he's like, if I had invested in the S&P 500 instead of in my own education, the results would have been like inconsequential. Like they wouldn't have mattered compared to the results that he got from education. Because, I mean, from his perspective, because of his education, he now has, I don't know if it's like a $50 million net worth. And so if he'd thrown the 200K into the S&P 500, he would have had like $1 million at this point. So if you're trying to go big or go home, if you can invest in education, it's going to be a big deal. But the S&P 500, you're still going to, in the long term, make good money. Do you have any thoughts on that, Josiah? Enough of my rants.
Yeah, you got any more acronyms for me? They're not acronyms. Witty, SNME.
No,
Dude, that's stuck in my head, dude.
Yeah.
I agree with what you're saying. I think a good way to think about it is what's the average like rate of return on the S&P 500? You probably don't know off the top of your head, but say it's
I kind of say like 7% before inflation.
Okay, 7%. So like that's
after inflation.
After, okay, like that's not bad. That's better than doing nothing with that money. But what's the average rate of return if you invest that money in some sort of education that then helps you earn money in some way, like Alex Hermosi, or like your book business blueprint or whatever, or like other courses you can take. You gain this knowledge, and if you act on it, you can make a lot more than 7%. So I think that's probably the point that he's trying to drive home. And it's not an all or nothing. Like he probably puts some money in that and doesn't spend, $50 million a year on education.
Oh, no, for sure. No.
A little bit of everything in moderation.
Yeah. And it's like, honestly, if you're running a business, like how much time do you really have to like devote to other education and like still keep things going well? I'm trying to set more side of time aside. Like I have a friend in real life. He wants to start a YouTube channel. He does like affiliate stuff for like music marketing. And he's like, dude, we should do a YouTube course together. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I have a lot to learn about YouTube, and I'm sure I'm doing some major things wrong here. So like, let's get some education, even if it's a free course, even if it's a $150 course, even if it's like $400, like let's get some education. Let's cut some of these mistakes that I'm making, because I could be doing the equivalent of pounding my head against the wall with YouTube, because obviously like I've been doing this for a while and like I'm sure I'm doing something wrong. So why not cut some of that out and get some real education with it?
Yeah, I want you to take that clip right there and a year from now make a video. This is how much I made on YouTube, and put that clip in there.
That would be sick.
Followed by that clip of me saying to put that clip in there.
Sounds good. I should put it in my my calendar right now. Minute 24 and 35 seconds. October 5th, 2023.
Dear self.
Dear self.
What I'm gonna do in fourth quarter here is hire some VAs to take a bunch of courses for me. So that they can learn for me, and then give me the Spark Notes of the Spark Notes of the Spark Notes.
Yeah, actually, it's
actually not a bad idea.
I actually had my sourcing VA. I purchased the FBA roadmap. I watched some of the videos, but I told my virtual assistant to go through the whole course.
Oh,
And
dude.
like, she actually made some improvements. Like she's super knowledgeable. And I think I'm going to have my editor VA also give him the login information for the YouTube course that I'm going to go through as well. So definitely going to have that be part of their work. And actually, both of them were really excited. They're like, yes, free education. I want to increase my pay grade.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah,
you're
win-win.
probably paying them to do it too.
Exactly. Like it was just their work for like 4 days. Go through this course.
Yeah.
We got Joji saying it's totally true in his case. He's the Alex Hermosi for a reason. I'd say most people they should stick to the S&P 500. So, I mean, there's definitely a difference between someone who's just like working a job and they're going to get like their 6% raises per year and they're doing their thing and they're not really trying to like start something, than someone who's like an entrepreneur trying to start businesses, or like the less extreme version of that, like running Amazon stores and social medias and stuff like that. So it depends on the person. What were you going to say, Josiah?
I was going to say, yeah, it depends on your goals. And yeah, you definitely got a valid point there, Joji. But I think even for the average person in a 9 to 5, how could they benefit from going and getting another certification in that industry? That might help them get that next promotion or that job shift in the company that they want, that, year over year over year, the return on that one certification. Like I came from a bit of an IT background. There's a ton of certifications in IT. And what's the biggest thing to show your credibility in that industry is certifications. How do you get certifications? Through education. And that's completely outside of the space of people that have any interest in starting or running a business. But yeah, good point, Joji.
Yeah, that's a good point too. I was just like thinking about it the other day. I was listening to a podcast and they were kind of talking about how it would be fun to, it was like a bunch of social media people talking about how it would be fun to just like post up in like this mansion for a year and just like all hang out and just like pull together a videographer and just like have them be filmed all the time and like make content for them. And they're like, oh yeah, but he also needs to know how to do video editing so that the story flow can actually work. And so that's just like one off the top of my head example of like, if you can combine skills and have multiple skills, you're going to end up getting paid more and be more useful in the marketplace. Like if you can film really well but don't know how to edit, you might just get paid a little bit less than someone who knows how to film and edit at the same time, because they're going to choose the right clips to film. Whereas the person who doesn't know how to edit and what the overall like story of what you're filming is might not produce as good a content. I mean, that's why like Josiah and I have talked about like Steve sometimes, like his combination of skills like does really well for him. He knows Amazon really well. He knows social media really well. He knows marketing really well. And those combination of skills do really well for him. He's not the best example of this because he is self-employed. He's not working a job. But combination of skills really matter. So Joji is saying, speaking of the S&P 500, I'm curious to hear about your guys' investing strategy. Roth IRA, solo 401k. We'll go back to this comment. We'll go to this more recent comment, and then we'll probably wrap up after this last comment. But my honest guess is that most people don't invest in themselves or in the S&P 500. Good point. Yeah. They're just on the 9 to 5 grind. I don't know what the statistic is, but isn't it like 70% plus of people are living paycheck to paycheck? I don't even know what that statistic is, but I think the majority of people are very tight margins on their life.
Earlier this year, it was in the low 50s. As of June, it was 61% of Americans living paycheck to paycheck. And that's funny that you said that, Seth, because that's the exact same thought I had based off of your comment, Joji. And so, yeah, I Googled that right away. And yeah, I would add on to your comment that they're on the 9 to 5 grind to allow them to live from paycheck to paycheck. And that's a tough place to be. And I think for a lot of Americans, the way to get out of that is a lifestyle change. For some, they really need a increase in income as well.
Yeah, because lifestyle inflation is super real. It's hard to deal with sometimes. I think we can call that the rat race. Yeah, exactly. Like, if regardless of making 30K a year or 80K a year, you're still living paycheck to paycheck, like, I guess it's just a priority thing. Like, if you just want to have a high lifestyle, that's great. I guess for me, I really care about security and actually like getting ahead a little bit, and not just like spending all my money every year.
But the government will save you, Seth.
I can. Oh yeah, I mean they're gonna have all the money for me when I retire, so that's what I'm banking on. That's why I spend all my money.
Yeah, when you trip, Big Brother will be there to give you a Band-Aid.
Wow, that's so inspiring. We'll kind of talk about this and this together because we're a little bit over on time. Speaking of the S&P 500, I'm curious to hear about your guys' investing strategy: Roth IRA, solo 401k. You guys heard of FIRE? Thoughts on it? Josiah, I feel like you're might be putting words in your mouth, but I mean, you literally just talked about it 30 minutes ago. Your investing strategy right now in the short term, like a year, is putting extra money into other profitable businesses, right?
Primarily, yeah. So FIRE, I have heard of it. Financially independent, retire early, I think, right?
Yeah.
I have looked into that mentality a little bit, and I agree with some of it. But for me right now, at least personally, I don't really see like I want to retire at age 32. Like that sounds boring. Like I enjoy working in different ways. And so I foresee myself for the long term, whether or not I need to work for financial reasons, doing some sort of work. But the idea behind that of being financially independent and not having to work, or being able to do work that's really enjoyable and has no correlation to our financial needs is really, really cool. We do some Roth IRA through the Vanguard stuff. And we have an S Corp now. So I'm looking into some of the investing tax benefits through that. I think it's a SEP IRA. I got a lot of research to do to figure that out a little bit. But basically the corporation can match our contributions in a 401k type way, like if you're a W-2 employee and your company matched your contributions. Anyway, that's a long rabbit trail. But in general, yes, Seth, right now for the short term, our investment strategy is primarily into our businesses. And if we pull money out of Amazon, it'll probably be to invest in a different business.
Which is probably Turo at this point.
Yeah. Right now, Turo is the other big one we've got, and then we're toying with some other social media, YouTube kind of stuff, and some other stuff in the travel space. Yeah. What about you, Seth? It sounds like you're a little bit more in tune with investing stuff. For me, some of it is just like a lack of knowledge, and I don't really have an interest in learning, so I'm just going to put the money in something I understand.
Yeah, I mean I think that's part of investing. You should invest in stuff that you understand. That's what I've heard a lot. I mean, our friend Dave Ramsey says that as well. Just you should be investing in stuff that you understand. For me, speaking of like the S&P 500, IRA, solo 401k, FIRE, my unpopular opinion in the financial space, I just do not love the idea of Roth IRAs and 401ks. Like the idea of having to put your money in and it really not being liquid without a huge penalty, and just like having to leave it in there for 20, 30, 40 years. Like, yes, if you do that, you're gonna be richer. but you're also not going to have access to your money. On paper, you're going to be more secure doing that. But also, I kind of want to be in a better financial place in more like 10 years or 15 years rather than 40 years. I do want some access to my money. So for me, the S&P 500, just investing in the 500 companies in the United States who are doing the best, is a little bit more of a middle ground, more liquid option that works better for me. Because I think right now the thing that we're investing for is probably a down payment on a house, either the down payment on a house for us or for real estate. That would probably be the next logical move for me and Christiana. So throwing all that money somewhere where we can't touch it and actually make more money on it isn't the move for us right now. And a lot of my money is just getting reinvested back into Amazon as well, because that's the best returns at this point. Final comment, and then we're going to head off because we've been over for 30 minutes. It also depends on where you live. My wife and I combined make about 136K. And we're barely over paycheck to paycheck living in South Florida. It's just the cost of living here. And yeah, I mean, I don't live there, so I don't know. But there are also people here in Colorado who just say the cost of living is so high, I can't afford living here for under 75K a year. When it is indeed possible to live under 75K a year. I feel like there tends to be some things where people just assume are like almost necessities when really they are like strong wants that people can do without if they had to. Not saying that's the case here, but I'm saying it could potentially be the case. Like I've even noticed in my life, our costs have gone up just because we have a bit more available and we think that there are needs. But really, like if push came to shove, we could spend 5 to 10K less per year. We would just be annoyed and not enjoy it at all. What are your thoughts on that, Josiah?
Yeah. This probably isn't you, Richie, but the average, I'm a Dave Ramsey fan. I think Seth is a little bit too. The average American has, I would say, a ridiculous monthly car payment, and many would say that's a need. They need that car to get to work. In reality, they could sacrifice their lifestyle a little bit and drive a vehicle that's 15 years old. I have a 2003 SUV in my driveway, and that thing kicks butt. It's reliable, it drives, and it's worth like $2,000. You don't need a $35,000 BMW to get to your job. That's a want, and nothing wrong with owning that if you can afford that. But if having different things like that in your lifestyle is keeping you stuck in this paycheck to paycheck position, then maybe you need to cut back a little bit. But yeah, it's interesting to think about, to Richie's point, the cost of living and how that varies so widely, even across the same country. Here in this part of Alaska, cost of living's pretty high, and I see lots of people complaining about it. But I came from a bit of a bigger city as well, and in some ways the cost of living there is even higher. Like I see some of my neighbors and they're like, oh, cost of living is ridiculous here, it's the worst. It's like, I just came from this other place and it was the worst there. Like we all think that where we live or what we're doing is the most important thing or the most difficult place to be. And I think big picture, yeah, there are cheaper places to live, but if you're in a city, it's going to be expensive. It's supply and demand. That's way out there, Seth.
Yeah,
from what we were talking about, but kind of related.
Yeah, we definitely got all the financial topics today, and money is just such an interesting thing, and it's another part of it is the the whole, if we just like uprooted and lived somewhere else, like we could save like 1,000, 2,000 a month. But like most
Costa
people,
Rica.
all of us, we could go to Costa Rica, but like obviously I'm not willing to do that. So I stay here in expensive Colorado. Like, sucks to suck. That's how it goes. But we got Lords in the chat. Lords, what's up? Dave Ramsey and Profit First. Yes, ma'am. Exactly. Dave Ramsey's great. I'm trying to do Profit First more and more, but
yeah, you know another good book that I've been working on, Atomic Habits. I have this bad habit where I start a book and don't finish it. Profit First is one of those. Like I learned some good stuff, but I probably got about halfway through. And interestingly enough, I'm about halfway through Atomic Habits and I'm having trouble. Like it hasn't worked yet.
Oh my word. You just need to get those habits. It takes 30 days, Josiah.
No,
Have
I've
you
been
reading
working
the book for 30 days?
Oh yeah, like 3 months, dude.
You're a slow reader. All right. On that note, Josiah's good at some things. He's not good at other things, but we love to have him on the stream. If you guys haven't checked out his YouTube channel, definitely head over to Entreprenagle on YouTube. And he has a lot of content where he talks about financial topics, Turo, Amazon FBA, really good stuff to listen to just while you're listing or while you're working or driving somewhere. Definitely give him a follow, give him a subscribe. He's also on Instagram at baconbagel_AK. Always a pleasure having you on, and hope you have a good rest of the day, guys. Take care.
Thanks, Seth.